Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories. The IDF continues to make gains in the Gaza Strip as Israel enters into the 9th month of war against Islamist Hamas. IDF Northern Command Commander Major General Uli Goldin orders his troops to stand at the ready for prospects of a full-intensity war with Hezbollah. The International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors adopts a resolution against Iran's nuclear program, demanding compliance. Today began the 9th month of the war against Islamist Hamas in the Gaza Strip. IDF forces are making good progress in the war-battered enclave as Islamist Hamas is seemingly losing ground and operatives in a decisive manner. And while some former senior officers seeking to make headlines are voicing criticism of the duration of the conflict, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Agari asserted that anyone who claims that eradicating the Islamist Hamas could take less time, particularly when doing everything to avoid collateral damage, he or she are essentially promoting an illusion to the public.
אנחנו נלחמים במלחמה רב-זירתית עם הרבה זירות, מנהלים לחימה מול חיזבאללה בצפון, עסוקים בהגנה על שמי המדינה, מאיראן, עיראק, תימן, וגם נלחמים בעזה. 8 חודשים. לטפל בחמאס לוקח זמן. מי שאומר משהו אחר מציב אשליה לציבור. רפיח זה אחד האזורים המורכבים ביותר בעולם, אם לא במזרח התיכון, לטפל בו. היו ברפיח 1,400,000 תושבים. צה"ל הפגין יכולות שבהם הוא פינה 1,000,000 אזרחים. זה אירוע חסר תקדים בעולם. פינינו 1,000,000 אזרחים ואנחנו עכשיו פועלים בתוך מרחב רפיח. החשיבות של רפיח היא קרה. זה צינור החמצן של חמאס. זה טופל. אנחנו עכשיו ממפים, משמידים את המנהרות, משמידים את התת קרקע. יחידות מיוחדות פועלות שם בפנים. בפעילות רצינית ביותר, ואנחנו נחשוף את הפעילות לא פה בתקשורת. נחשוף אותה ביחס לביטחון כוחותינו, במקום ובזמן הנכון. אנחנו מטפלים בגדודים של חמאס שנמצאים ברפיח, וזה קורה, וטוב שזה קורה, בצורה מדויקת, ששומרת על ביטחון כוחותינו, ושומרת גם על המורכבות של רפיח. שומרת את היחסים הביטחוניים החשובים עם מצרים. שומרת על הלגיטימציה הבינלאומית שלנו בעולם. ואנחנו ממשיך להראות לעולם איך אנחנו מוצאים את כל הפתרונות.
While fighting throughout the Gaza Strip persists, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Hilzi Halevi visited troops of the Netzach Yehuda Battalion, which has been deployed along the northern part of the enclave to provide security to the Israeli communities along the border.
אני רוצה לדבר איתכם על 2 משימות. משימה הראשונה, הגנה על היישובים כאן, ויש לכם כאן יישובים קרובים, יש לכם כאן עיר קרובה עם אחריות גדולה מאוד. להגן במרחב הגבול, לשמור מרחב הבטחה מאוד יציב, שלא נכנס אליו אויב, שלא עוברים אותו, שלא מתקרבים לגדר, ולדעת כשיש ניסיון חדירה, להגיב מהר, להגיב בנחישות, להגיב במקצועיות, גם לא לתת לאויב לחדור וגם לתת לתושבים כאן הרבה מאוד ביטחון.
Turning to the IDF Central Command, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attended a comprehensive situation assessment, after which the Israeli premier stressed that while international pressures applied on Jerusalem are seemingly immense, no pressure in the world could frustrate Jerusalem's commitment to ensure that the security status that prevailed before October 7th would be the same after the multi-sector war, which was forced upon Israel, ultimately comes to an end.
קיימתי עכשיו הערכת מצב בפיקוד מרכז. מדינת ישראל נמצאת במערכה קשה בהרבה חזיתות. אנחנו נלחמים בדרום, אנחנו נלחמים בצפון, אנחנו נלחמים גם כאן ביהודה ושומרון. המאמץ הזה מתבצע תוך כדי לחצים בינלאומיים לא פשוטים שמופעלים עלינו. אבל אני יכול להבטיח דבר אחד. מה שהיה לא יהיה. אנחנו נשנה את המציאות הזאת, ואני סומך על החיילים שלנו ועל המפקדים שלנו ועל זרועות הביטחון שלנו להבטיח את ביטחון ישראל.
Meanwhile, on Israel's northern front, the Iranian proxy Hezbollah continues to intensify cross-border attacks against both military and civilian targets. Consequently, IDF Northern Command Commander Major General Uri Goldin proclaimed to his subordinates, quote, "When the order is given, the enemy is going to meet a strong, well-prepared army. We will not rest for a moment, and we will continue to fight boldly and with wisdom until the task is completed, restoring security and a sense of security in the north. This responsibility is clear, and it rests on our shoulders." Meanwhile, in response to the repeated successful strikes by Hezbollah's unmanned aerial vehicles against various targets throughout northern Israel, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Agari was asked to provide answers to alleviate public concerns.
כל אירוע כזה מתוחקר, תוחקר היום בהערכת המצב המטכ"לית. יש פה פתרונות שאנחנו מקדמים אותם. יש פה איום סמוך לגבול בטווחים קצרים, שמהווה אתגר גם בזיהוי המקאמי וגם בהירות. אנחנו ראינו והראינו שאנחנו יודעים להתמודד עם איום כטב"מים מטווחים מאוד רחוקים במספרים רחבים. בהתקפה שהאיראנים הציבו בפנינו, התמודדנו עם מספר רחב מאוד של כטב"מים, והם לא פגעו בשטח מדינת ישראל. במקרה הזה מדובר באירוע סמוך גבול. אנחנו בתוך העניין הזה נגיע לפתרונות המבצעיים וניתן מענה גם בתחום הזה.
Meanwhile, in Washington, U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller was asked to comment on a report about the Biden administration, cautioning Israel to keep the war with Lebanon or any escalation limited, while also warning about Iran potentially intervening in a northern escalation.
So I'm not going to speak to private diplomatic conversations, but as I've said earlier in the week, we have been clear with the government of Israel since the immediate aftermath of October 7th that one of our top priorities as in this conflict was to see it not expand any further than it already has. And that remains the case, and that remains the subject of our diplomatic conversations, not just with Israel, but with other countries in the region. I will say that we continue to see Hezbollah taking strikes across the border, including incredibly destructive strikes. And Israel, of course, has the right to defend itself when hit by a terrorist organization. But we remain concerned about the risk of escalation and the risk that any type of escalation could further widen and broaden this conflict and get us back into the place where we were earlier in this conflict when you saw strikes in Iraq that we have worked to try to mitigate and try to prevent from occurring. So that remains a top priority for the United States.
Miller was further asked to provide a response on the latest joint announcement by the Yemeni Houthis and Iraqi Popular Mobilization Forces on launching a collaborative operation against the Israeli port of Haifa, and whether the United States had spoken to the Iraqi government about this matter.
So we have long made clear that we oppose any attacks by the various militia groups, Iranian-sponsored militia groups, against the government of Israel, and that we are prepared to help Israel defend itself against those attacks. Obviously, any kind of cooperation between them is something that would be incredibly concerning and that we would work to mitigate. So without speaking to any specific conversations regarding these attacks, it has been our general policy to press the Iraqi government to prevent attacks being launched on their soil, either against the government of Israel or against United States interests or United States troops in the region.
It is important to know that while the joint Houthi PMF announcement of strikes against targets in the Israeli port of Haifa have been refuted by the IDF, an alarming report revealed that the Iraqi parliament passed a budget law which essentially provided more than $3.5 billion to Iraq's Iranian proxies, Popular Mobilization Forces, or Hashd al-Shabi in Arabic, which have launched many hundreds of attacks against U.S. personnel and infrastructure, as well as the state of Israel in recent years.
We do remain concerned that individuals within the PMF are not responsive to the Iraqi commander-in-chief and engage in violent and destabilizing activities in Iraq and Syria. Attacks against U.S. and coalition service members, as well as Iraqi security service members and businesses, undermine Iraq's security and economy, and we continue to urge the Iraqi government to rein in these individuals and hold them accountable for breaking Iraqi law.
It is important to know that the International Atomic Energy Agency concluded a meeting of the Board of Governors earlier this week, during the course of which the E3, which include Germany, France, and Britain, tabled a resolution calling on Iran to work with the IAEA on a long list of outstanding issues related to its nuclear program, which the Ayatollah regime has thus far defiantly refused to do. Following its adoption, in the event that Iran fails to comply to the European resolution, which the Biden administration, after initially working to undermine its adoption, ultimately voted in favor of the resolution, Britain, France, and Germany may opt to trigger the snapback mechanism that could immediately reinvigorate all past nuclear-related sanctions on Iran without a requirement to pass any resolution at the UN Security Council, which could have been vetoed by either Russia or China. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. It is important to highlight that TV7 Israel is a donation-based non-profit ministry with all of our productions available free of charge. Therefore, we would appreciate it if you'd consider making a donation, and you can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I'd like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.